Welcome to this update for the upcoming new moon in Sagittarius. Now, this is happening at 28 degrees of Sag, and that is very late in Sagittarius. So it's indicative of something winding up, something coming to a close, and something new being seeded. So you need to check the Sagittarius area of your chart to see what area of life is really having this experience. Now, it is also conjunct a part of the universe, the cosmos, right in the Milky Way, called the galactic center. And this is a very spiritual point. So there can be some powerful awakening, powerful shifts, some upgrades, and some really unexpected outcomes that come from this opportunity of this new moon. But it isn't an easy new moon either, because Sagittarius is a planet which is connected to faith and hope, and vision and seeing the big picture and having the knowledge at your disposal and that inner compass to guide you to find the bullseye. So when you're shooting for consciousness, you're not just shooting around blindly. You've actually got to focus to shoot for the center. So there is a little bit of confusion energy in this new moon because the new moon is happening in a square to Neptune, which is the planet that can blur boundaries, which can lead to difficulties with sometimes a lack of honesty or a lack of clarity. It could be sometimes rose-colored glasses. So during this new moon, it's really important to be in integrity and to be honest with yourself and others. It's also because Neptune and Saturn are both together, like in a conjunction at the moment. This has been a long-term transit. There is the opposite happening too, where we might be asked to rise to a challenge or step up our game because the moon is in a square to Saturn, which is saying, listen, time's ticking, the same behaviors, the same sort of outdated, boundaryless approaches are not going to work anymore. If you want to move on to the next thing, if you want to mature, if you want to be able to create that vision of the future, which Sagittarius moon is all about, and if you want to find spiritual healing and inner reflection, then you need to actually grow up. And so there's this sort of push and pull between what's clear and honest and what is mature and what is still a bit foggy and misty and kind of half-baked. So that's the sort of the struggle between that Saturn and that Neptune. Because Neptune's sitting so close to Saturn, it can be blurring the boundaries of everything, blurring our ability to see clearly. So the moon in Sagittarius, which is this new moon, is under the rulership of Jupiter. Now, in a minute, I'll show you the chart. And Jupiter is in Cancer, the sign of its exaltation. So Jupiter is actually very strongly placed, but it's not able to see the moon because you can't make an aspect from Cancer to Sagittarius. So what's happening here is that Jupiter is able to see Saturn and Neptune because Jupiter is in Cancer, Saturn and Neptune is in Pisces, which is a trine aspect. Now, this provides some support, some kind of way to work through some of these more challenging energies of this new moon. Like I said, that struggle between having boundaries and having a lack of clarity, having a plan and having no idea of what you're doing. And the way that this Jupiter supports those two planets is by providing a sense of emotional maturity and a sense of a desire to heal properly. Because Jupiter's in Cancer, okay, so that's a sign that's connected to emotional intelligence, okay, it's connected to nurturing. And Jupiter is all about knowledge, it's about healing and things coming back together again. So Jupiter does have the ability to kind of influence those other two planets in a positive way. But with all trines, we have to actually be aware of it and actually lean into and desire to grow and to expand ourselves and to become more emotionally intelligent rather than just get stuck in this sort of moon square Saturn, I'm not good enough, or this is not working for me, victim mentality, or getting stuck in the rose-colored glasses, the moon square Neptune of like, well, if I just stick my head in the sand and pretend this isn't happening, then, it'll go away. And neither of those approaches are helpful for this new moon in Sagittarius because it is about truth and honesty and integrity and cutting through the bullshit and shooting right for that bullseye into the consciousness. So I'm going to share the chart. Now, this chart is set up for my location, and the houses would vary depending on where you're looking at this chart from. But you can see in this chart the new moon's happening up here in the 10th house. And it is configured with Venus. So it's separating from a conjunction with Venus in Sagittarius too. So this brings in relationship topics to this new moon. And the moon is moving away from Venus in the very late degrees of Sagittarius. So this could represent the ending of a relationship. This could be representing the ending of one relationship and then moving into a new relationship. But it's also highlighting a need to really develop your insight and awareness into seeing things as they are and not obscuring the perception of things. Because Venus is also tightly square Saturn. Now, this can feel like a lack of love, being shut out, something coming to a close. It can feel like a lot of hoops to jump through, can feel like, you're not meeting the grade, or, this connection or what it is you're seeking is just somehow removed. But as Venus moves through Saturn, she'll come to square Neptune. And now that can be as much as it can be kind of cloudy, it can also be very idealistic and very romantic and very much about seeing the best possible outcome. And so this new moon period is going to be really about, setting your vision for the future and keeping it realistic, but also, dreaming big. And remembering this configuration with the galactic center adds this real cosmic, powerful potential for things to really, really go in a very dynamic and unexpected way, in a way that is hopefully for the best for our spiritual growth. And so, as I said, the ruler of this new moon, because this new moon is in Sagittarius, the ruler is Jupiter, and Jupiter is here in Cancer. Okay, it's sending a trine to Saturn and Neptune, as I said, and this is providing some sort of impetus for growth, impetus for emotional maturity and healing, impetus for coming together to resolve. But you need to be conscious of that. And this Jupiter, is going to hopefully help us to see a bigger picture and to be truthful, coming from the heart rather than just from, sometimes a limited perspective with Saturn and sometimes a little bit of a delusional perspective with Neptune. So, yeah, this is a really interesting new moon. And it is going to be happening in less than 24 hours. So have a look in your chart, see the Sagittarius part of your chart. Now, if this was your birth chart, for example, which it's not here, but if this was your birth chart, you would look and say, okay, I've got Sagittarius up here on the 10th house cusp. And therefore, this new moon is happening in my 10th house. Now, this could be seeding something new in terms of your profession or your public image, 10th house topics. So have a look in your birth chart and see what house you find Sagittarius on the cusp of, because that is going to give you further insight into what particular areas of life are being lit up by this new moon. What is kind of coming to a close? Where are the challenges? Where is this square between the moon, Saturn, and Neptune? It's going to be between two different houses. Understanding this is understanding, what is the bind? What do I need to push through? How do I need to grow? That's a really big key takeaway for this new moon in Sagittarius. Now, the final point is you need to look to see if you have any planets in the late degrees of mutable signs. So Sagittarius is a mutable sign, now late degrees, because this is a 28-degree new moon. It means if you've got any planets in the late degrees of Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, or Virgo, then this is going to feel more palpable. It's going to be more visible. There could be an event. There could be an internal realization. There could be a decision. There could be something that feels really visceral for you. Whereas if you don't have planets or degrees at this particular part of your chart, you may not notice it as obviously as people who do. So let me know what house you have this happening in your chart. This is happening on my natal Jupiter, which rules my 11th house of friends, as well as hopes and wishes. So I hope this is going to be a really fortunate one, highlighting some really good stuff. Let me know what it's doing in your chart. And yeah, I wish you the best for this new moon, and I will be back soon.